shift the way you lead, the way you live. Clarity, courage, change. Because your next level won't wait. This is Monday MindShift. The clarity you've been craving. The shift you didn't know you needed. Good morning, everyone. Let me just get the camera dialed here. Nobody, hold on, don't get seasick or anything. Welcome to Monday MindShift. I'm Shawn Michael. I'm excited to be here with you and share this lesson. I think it's a very relevant topic to today, and it's a discussion that I see all around on social media, LinkedIn, etc., on the Substack. Everywhere you go, this conversation is everywhere. But we're going to approach it from a different angle than you're probably used to approaching it from. And let's see. So I've got previous comments. So I'm going to acknowledge those. Luisa and Sandra, thank you for dropping those comments. If you happen to catch the replay, you'll catch me saying that. But if you're watching live, go ahead and say hi. Tell me I've got something on my face, whatever, let me know where you're joining from or what you hope. Here's one. Drop what you hope to gain from today's topic. Love to hear from you. Honestly, it's the only way that I know you're here. The systems will tell me, this many viewers, that many viewers, but that's it. It's just a number. And numbers aren't always clear. All right, so I see Christy, welcome, and Sharon Rose, and Luisa is here. All right, glad you made it, Luisa. Christy, loving the new profile image. It's always fun to update our profile image, to align more with who we are today, right? Instead of an old one that worked. It's not that it didn't, but it feels good to have a fresh image and a new face to show the world. And I apologize, I keep looking down because I've got the live streaming here on my phone, and every time you guys comment, it's popping up notifications. So we're going to take care of that, so those don't keep popping up, so I can just see the comments live and better engage with you, because that's what I built MindShift for. I didn't build it as a platform where I could share my ideas. I originally built it back when we still had audio rooms as a forum. I wanted it a forum. I wanted a discussion, a conversation. Because I've learned in my life that, yeah, I know a lot, but I don't know everything. And being open to other perspectives and then going back and questioning my own is a point of growth for me, right? I don't have to agree. I may not agree with that person, but it makes me dig in and understand my position better and verify, right? It's kind of like we're in an era, right, where people are asking AI questions and they're taking it at face value. Whatever the AI spits back, they're like, well, ChatGPT told me the blah, blah, blah. And it hallucinates, it makes stuff up. And as with any source, I believe we always want to check and verify. And that's going to become more and more important because today almost anyone can create something that looks real, seems real to most people. Um, it's I'll have to share I actually shared that on a live, Louisa. What identity disruptor? Because Coach Carey asked that. I will send you a link or tag you with a link to that episode so you can hear it in detail. But basically, in a nutshell, when I say identity disruptor, my goal is to help people wake up and look at their identity and perhaps shift it, like evaluate, is this the identity I want to be living in today, or is there a better identity that I'm already starting to move into it. I like to think of it, I'm going to set my age here, but exactly. But even then, Christy, talking to a real person, people say things, and I would even say it's not like they're trying to lie, they just don't have all the information. And so what they share is not truly accurate. So we still need to research and, as they say in investing, right? Do your due diligence. Right. So yeah, Louisa, that's the idea is to, like the old days when we had vinyl records. I remember a song would be playing and there would be a scratch or something and it would start skipping, right? It'd be like repeating the same line again and again and again. And as a young person, like my parents would have not wanted, they would have been pick up the thing and move it or something. RK3, glad to have you here. I'm well. Hope you're well too. I'd love to catch your show, but because of time differences, I'm just getting up. I haven't even had my coffee when your show runs. Anyway, as a kid, we would just bump the record player, right? Just give it a little nudge. And so I kind of see that's who I am. That's what I'm about, is like I'm the little nudge that helps people go, oh, wait a minute. Perhaps this isn't the best identity for me to operate from. All right. So today's topic, let's get started. So if you were here last week or you caught the replay, you will recall that we opened the new series very powerful comments, right? We did the identity blind spot series, and this is the identity under pressure series. And I opened, Jackie, welcome. And Judy, glad to see you. Happy Memorial Day. I send honor and thankfulness, gratitude to all the service members. I'm a veteran myself, all service members that paid the ultimate sacrifice to defend the freedom that people in the United States get to enjoy, and other places in the world, right? Because it's not just defending the borders and the Constitution of the United States, it's helping other nations and people gain freedom. And we screw it up. Right? We don't always do the best thing. But it was my honor to serve, and I honor and I'm grateful for those that have given their life to protect what I enjoy as an American citizen, even though I don't live in the US. So, back to our topic. So, last week opened with a question: what happens when your success outpaces your self concept? When you achieve that thing, but something in you just still doesn't believe that you belong there. And I named this pattern for what it was, what it is, right? It's, we often call it self-sabotage, but I called it loyalty. It's a loyalty to an old version of you that was built for survival, for the climb, and it never was prepared for arriving, right? And that's the lens I'm looking through for this series. Not about what is happening in your market or your niche, what's happening in your mirror. And today, I'm going to turn the lens, as I said before, to a conversation that I've been watching everywhere. It's the AI conversation, right? It's often framed as strategy or tools and workflow and relevance. And it's an important conversation. I'm not minimizing or dismissing it, but I would say there's a conversation underneath, one that isn't being talked about, one that perhaps people aren't saying out loud. And that's what I want to talk about today. At the top here, I want to offer you something. Not a framework yet, but a simple observation. You're not afraid of AI replacing your job or your work. What people are actually afraid of is AI revealing that that job was a story you told yourself about who you are. I'd love it if you drop a comment here. Does that land for you? Where are you having the conversation around AI? Are you talking about strategy? Or is there a quieter topic underneath? Send them over, drop them in the comments. Tell me your thoughts. I will read those in a few minutes. But here's what I keep seeing and hearing. And this is what I'm seeing underneath the polished social media post. I see founders who built companies with around a specific expertise, or Michael, welcome, or executives who spent 20 plus years being the one in the room who knew. Leslie, welcome. Coaches and consultants whose entire marketing position relied on a body of knowledge they've spent decades earning. Today, that all can be approximated. Of course, it's not perfect, and it lacks the human soul, the human judgment, the human emotional intelligence. But it's allowing it to happen so quick that the gap is shrinking, just as quickly. With all of these tools, these automations, and AI that can do this and AI that can do that, and blah, 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 blah. Most people expect a response of excitement. Like, wow, leverage. I can have AI do this stuff. I don't have to spend all my time. I don't have to monitor an employee to do that. I can just have AI just process the data and then somebody can check it. It's a point of leverage used properly, right? Exactly, Judy. The things we don't do well or we don't like doing. And exactly right, Leslie. A lot of people get caught up in the brain and the physiology, but there's a deeper. But instead of, those feelings of excitement and leverage and opportunity, a lot of people are having a response they didn't expect and they don't have a name for. It's a level of anxiety that doesn't really fit in that adapt or fall behind framing. Maybe it's a little grief that it feels embarrassing to admit it. Because what are you grieving? A tool? A role? No. What we're grieving is the story. Absolutely, Christy. The story that said, I am valuable because I can do this. Or it says, I am the one who knows. Or maybe it's, I have my seat at this table because I built something that took skill. And those stories, that story, it's not a lie. When we wrote it, it was 100% true. You earned it. But in this world, when AI can produce something that resembles what you produce, right? I see all these comments about AI can't tell us what we're passionate about. Some use AI to write their books. Leslie's old school, she still writes them herself. Some are embracing the tools to help learn more efficiently. Leslie, it is an encyclopedia. It's an immature intern with a PhD. That's the way I look at AI. It has immense access to knowledge. And I've said this before, knowledge is everywhere. It's plentiful, it's cheap, it's easy. Knowledge doesn't change things alone. It takes action. But when AI can produce something that looks, sounds, seems like you or like you made it, right? Somebody can use AI to copy your frameworks or something. Our story gets pressure tested. Very true. Very true, Sharon. Under that pressure test, here's the question that I find important that each of us has to ask. can AI really do what I do? That's the surface question. The real question is, what did I believe about myself because I was the one doing it? Christine, glad to have you. There's a name I don't usually see on Monday MindShift, or I haven't seen in a long time. These are not the same question though. And if we keep answering the first one, we don't ever touch the anxiety. What's driving the anxiety? There's a profile I work with a lot. I call it the conditional self. It's an internal equation that reads, I am enough when I produce, or I am safe when I perform. I am worthy when I am irreplaceable. And in that status, that identity, AI doesn't just threaten the work, it threatens the entire equation. And when your entire equation is threatened, your identity will activate protection mode. Protection mode looks like resistance or avoidance, or the opposite, aggressive overcompensation, where you throw yourself into every tool so you never have to look at the question underneath. Both of these moves, they have the same root. They're both ways of not actually sitting with what AI is actually surfacing about what you believe or who you believe you are. All right, I'm going to take this opportunity because we're getting ready to go to the 2 chair. Louisa, I just saw this comment. I didn't see it before. This is live. This is not Memorex. There's no restream scheduler. This is live. All right, let's see. So I know Ashif says, go human intelligence first prior to reaching out to AI. What did he say? Because I hate, Restream tends to cut that off. To be you. Okay, I thought it was cutting off. Ashif did that intentionally. It was my pleasure to serve. I'm glad service is finished. Michael saying Habari Gani. Luisa's working in privacy. Judy's looking at how to use AI to be more productive. As I mentioned, Leslie brought up the mind, because the mind is separate from the physical brain. Louisa loves her AI tools. AI cannot tell someone what they're passionate about. And I would actually say, Judy, I've been reading a powerful book, and even the passion hypothesis, we need to reevaluate. Exactly, Ashif. The truths are published in books, the holy books first. And I would say the truths are written in our hearts. As Leslie said, the mind is not just our thinking and our thought process, it's a greater mind, right? Leslie makes a very valid point. AI is going to take a lot of jobs. But they're going to be jobs like you need to kind of evaluate is like, was I actually bringing something of me, my experience, my learning, my humanity to this? All right, Sharon has a question here. Do trades, crafts, are they afraid of their tools before they get started? Right, masters aren't, it's not that masters don't have fears, it's that I say, well, William, I'll give you a chance to speak on this. Christine, apologies. Right? It has a ton of knowledge, but it lacks the things, the processing that the human brings. Right? This is true. What are your thoughts? Your thoughts are influenced by what you've read, what you've watched, what you've listened to. Sharon perfectly said, wisdom is a human factor, lived experience, falling on our face, failing, making mistakes. Yes, Louisa, comments are live. I'm having trouble keeping up with them because they are live. They are flying in. All right, Christine says, all true, but if you are an experienced, knowledgeable person in your field, you have a huge advantage, exactly, to leveraging AI in a way that people who are relying on AI, they don't have the experience, the things that you have. And that's the difference. I always say AI can be a cognitive replacement. It's not AI bashing, Luis. It's not, at least not from my perspective. I am a huge proponent of AI. But it like any tool, we have to understand how to use it properly. Because if we don't, things can go wrong. I would say that. I'm looking at the identity underneath that. Not what is the tool, who is the person that's operating the tool? Do they know what they're doing? Christine, you'll have to tell me more about your aggressive overcompensation. Exactly. Apprentices, we've lost that, right? Where when you wanted to take on a role, a job, you apprenticed with somebody who had the experience. You did the work to learn it. All right, so continuing on. Oops, let me turn that back Boy, you guys are just blowing it up today. I love it. All right. Let me find my notes. All right. So here's where I want to do the 2-chair exercise. Those of you who have been here before, you know how this works. If you're new, if you've never seen it, stay with me because this is where it gets real. So this practice, you're either going to imagine 2 chairs, or if you prefer, set up 2 chairs in your space. In the first chair is a version of you who built a professional identity on your competence, on your knowledge, on being the expert in your area, the one who knows and can produce and is not easily replaceable. That version worked very hard to gain that position, right? Survived the failures, got the credentials. You built something and it's real. And that version needs to be needed. It finds value in doing. Now, the other chair is a version of you, the version of you that's underneath all the expertise. It existed before any credentials, before you started your career, without the whole body of knowledge that you've gained in your life. It's the part of you whose value wasn't contingent on output. It could see disruption and say, okay, what am I free to do now? What am I free to become? Instead of going, oh, what's it going to take from me? This position is steadier, it's more stable, but it's also unfamiliar. And our human brain, specifically saying that for Leslie, we're not talking about the mind, because the mind is ours, but the brain does not like unfamiliar. And I would say most high performers have not spent a lot of time they've spent a lot of time sitting in chair 1 and not much, if any, in chair 2. And the question I want you to sit with here is not which chair is better or which one you want to be in. Here's the question: which chair are you actually sitting in? Which one are you sitting in when you open that AI tool for the first time, or the 10th time, or the 100th time? Or on the other side, where you keep finding reason to not use the tools. So I'd love for you to finish the sentence in the comments. The thing I'm most afraid AI will expose about my professional identity is. Finish that sentence. I don't want the polished version, just your honest version. So go ahead and drop those in the comments. And I'll go back here. I have a question for you, Louisa. Is this the Shawn bashing moment? Because I feel like you're questioning everything. Like you're set on your beliefs, and I can handle it. I know this isn't original. Ashif mentions the holy books. They say there is nothing new under the sun. So, yes, I use a tool that has worked. Because it works, right? It's parts theory, it's many other things. So, Bill, I assume your nothing is your finish of the sentence. But, Bill, you're in a unique position that others might not be in. So, now I want to share something. Might sound like productivity tips, but it isn't. The leaders I have seen navigating this well, they're not the ones with the best AI workflow. It's not that they have the perfect, most sophisticated prompt structure or their tech stack. They got the tech stack working. It's one thing. They got clear on who they are separate from what they produce. When you know without a doubt who you are, what you stand for, what's important to you, when you know that, you'll build the prompts, you'll build the tech stack, you'll get the tool that works best for you. Or maybe you won't, but it won't matter because you know you're rock solid in who you are. It's the most strategic thing a leader or anyone can do. It isn't that it feels good. It's because it's the only identity that is not dependent on disruptions. The world will throw disruptions and new technology and new ways of doing things. In my 50 plus years, I've seen it, right? I remember having LPs that the needle was broken and we took a sewing needle so we could hear the music, to 8-track tapes, to cassette tapes, to CDs, to MP3s. I got a computer in 1986. It was revolutionary. The only reason I got it is because I had a friend whose parents were rich and he got a newer computer. He gave it to me. My parents never would have bought it because I had a 13-inch black and white TV. Exactly, Carrie. It's just a tool. In the wrong hands, it's dangerous. Without a stable identity that has nothing to do with what your output. AI is just an amplifier. It's just another tool. Tools are amplifiers. They're leverage makers. They take what you have and bring it bigger. They magnify it, right? When your self concept is anchored to that output, every change, every shift in the market, in the economy, in all of it, it becomes an existential threat. Every tool that can do what you did faster, better, more accurately, it challenges who you believe you are. But if we shift and we anchor identity in the way you think, your judgment, the relationships you hold on to, the way that the experiences that formed who you are today in the first place, that made you even capable of doing what you do. It's all a lever and not a threat. Because you are not the output. To hearken back to what Ashif said earlier, you are the intelligence behind it all. I want to say something directly to anyone here who's been quietly in this loop that I've described. Maybe you're performing some confidence about AI publicly. Perhaps you've even posted about how AI is leveraging. I see it. I look at my LinkedIn feed. Everybody's talking, oh, I got this magical cloud prompt or skill, and just comment this and I'll send it to you, and it'll do all your social media marketing and blah, 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 blah. Exactly, Judy. It's not creating new things. It's just repackaging what's already available. But if you've been going through the loop, exercising that aggression that we talked about before, that Christine brought up, and inside, privately, you're questioning your things. Maybe you haven't said it out loud. What does this mean for me? If that's you, let me tell you, that's not weakness. It's an honest version of a question that many people are too defended to even think about, let alone ask. And if you're asking it, even quietly in your private space, your private time, only to yourself, not to a mentor or a trusted friend or anything, it means you're closer to the real work than most people are. That's the kind of conversation I want in this room. That's the conversation that's in this work. So I open this up with this statement. You're not afraid of AI replacing your job or doing the work that you do. You're afraid that AI will reveal it was just a story you've been telling yourself about who you are. As I said, you are not the output. You never were. You are the one who built the capability to produce that output. You bring the judgment that you developed in your mistakes and your failures. It came through iteration after iteration of years of doing it, even when it was hard and nobody was watching. Sure, a tool can approximate that, but it cannot replicate the price you paid to become the person who could do the work you do in the first place. That's your true asset. And that is never replaceable. because it was never the product. Here's the question I want to leave you with. What would change for you if you stopped trying to compete with AI and started asking, what is it actually making room for? Take time with this. I'm not looking for that answer in the comments or even today. Carry it with you through the week. All right. If you've been here before, you've heard this again and again. It's a little different today. I offer an identity clarity call, one conversation where we can look at what you've built, who you believe you have to be in order to deserve that. And then we look for the gap between those two. That gap, that's where I work. It's the only place I work. I'll put a link in the comments. But for ease, I forget, I just did this. It's pretty easy. dailypowerboost.com/identity clarity. dailypowerboost.com/identity clarity. No obligation, no pressure. Let's have a conversation. To find that gap and start you on the path of closing that gap. And if you're someone who's been in this room, showing up regularly, engaging, resonating, but you haven't taken the step yet, it's a direct invitation. It's open and it's for you. I'd love to have a conversation with you. At this time, I want to open the floor. If something landed for you today, you want to bring to the conversation live, feel free to come on stage. No camera needed, can be audio only. This is the part of the show where we think together, where we reason through, not just me, each other. So if you have something, go ahead. Here's another link. And feel free to join the stage, share your mind, share your thoughts. Love to hear from you. While I'm waiting, let me look back through the comments that I missed. Okay, so Louisa said she'll be back next week. Bill standing up. It's okay, Bill. I appreciate it. But I'm bulletproof. As Sheaf says, AI does speak the truth. Are you ready to handle it? I think of that old movie, right? Jack Nicholson on the stand. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. But I think if your identity is updated, you are better prepared to handle the truth. Coach Carey, exactly. It's just a new tool. Tools can be used to build amazing things, or they can be used for really horrible things. You name me any tool and I can show you a positive use of it and a negative. Any tool. Judy is exactly right. Right? It's just digesting and putting things together that it has in its database. I would say, Judy, in some ways, yes, it can replace innovation. A lot of powerful users are using AI. I just read about one. She's a graduate, a post grad student in infectious diseases, especially focused on the ones that are affecting Africa, like malaria. She's taking her genetic knowledge that she learned, combining it with AI to process mounds of data that would take her decades to help find preventative measures to innovate the battle against malaria and others. Christine, I always love this. When somebody walks away from a show with a new mantra, that's a win. Sharon's exactly right. Bill, please hold on. I'm not forgetting you. I know you're there, right? Even if you can't name it, Sharon, people understand when it's AI and when it's not. Carrie, the floor is open. The link is in the comments. And let's welcome Bill. How are you today, sir?
I am doing excellent. This is such a great topic. Um, so your first question was, what am I afraid of? And I said nothing because I spent my entire career mentoring others, and that means giving a full knowledge dump to my team. So now what I'm doing is giving a full knowledge dump to my assistant, and he is creating things for me within moments. It's just creating his own brain. It's sharing with him how I think, what my expectations are. And the interesting part about it, and this is where I vacillate, I feel kind of bad. A lot of people are talking about how to bring into corporations sensitivity training. I don't have to be sensitive with my assistant. When I'm mad at him, I yell at him. It's just what the heck? And then I'm learning things about myself because as I'm speaking to him, I'm recognizing that I have to guide him like a child, like a person that I am training for the first time because he makes mistakes. He hallucinates. He says, let's start here. And I have to say, I've already told you about that. So we have a 10-day business plan. We're on day three. And why are we starting in the middle? We need to start here.
Mhm.
So I'm still managing. Now, this is what I want to tell everybody really, really quick while they start talking about AI. I've always been a part of emerging growth companies. So when I started with JDA, Christian Mingle, Silver Singles, Zeus, all those dating companies, my friends laughed at me and they were like, no one's going to date online. And 20 years later, it's the only way people date. I'm going to leave in a second.
No,
Um,
I just didn't want to leave her back there too long.
uh, um,
She's nothing if not patient. She'll sit there quietly waiting for her opening. I know
okay.
Coach Mary in that aspect.
Um, but they didn't believe that online dating was going to be an actual thing, and they fought against it. They wouldn't put their pictures up. Now your photos are everywhere,
Whether you
and
want them to or not.
whether you want them to or not. Um, I look at AI and I'm digging deeper into it. So I do my AI music. My production for my shows are AI generated. So I've always done that, but now I'm looking further into it and creating agents that handle certain workflows for me I'm having it help me initiate my business plan, and then all it's doing is following what I'm telling it to do.
And something I noticed, you did what a lot of, you started the conversation like a lot of people talk about these digital assistants. We personify it, right? We say
Dougie,
him, we say
yeah,
he, him, we say she, her.
Dougie is my assistant. He has a name.
Well, mine is, I had ChatGPT, I called it Sigil, which is like a token of knowledge.
But mine isn't like one of the platforms. I literally created a real assistant from
well,
several
and
different arenas.
here's the level that, talking about agents. I have an agent that when a mail drops in a certain folder on my mailbox, it automatically pre-screens that person who's
Yeah,
trying to be a guest on my show. And so it gives me a report, and it's like, here's why this is a good fit, or here's why that's not a good fit. I have an I have a double-sided agent. I have one agent that is watching and listening to everything I do on my computer.
yeah.
And it writes me a report, writes me two reports. Every morning it gives me a report like, here's what's on your calendar, here's what, you didn't quite wrap up yesterday. Here's where you wasted time. Like, it actually points that out, right? It looks at
Yeah.
what I was doing, and it's like, you spent 2 hours on Facebook scrolling. Like, you're not honor, and it knows my frameworks and the way I coach, and so it's using my own words and my own teaching as a mirror. I wouldn't say it's chastising me, it is, but it's a mirror. It's just holding up a mirror. It's like, look, you say this, but look at the way you're acting.
So do you talk to yours? Because mine talks. We
Talk to it.
speak.
Well, and I actually have one of the tools that I can hit a key on my keyboard and it talks and it actually reformulates, like it catches repeats.
Everything. So
It,
what I did, Sean, was I took everything that I've talked about,
mhm.
all of my YouTube videos, my resume, my articles. So when if you were to call in, because he has a dedicated phone number, if you were to call in and say, "Hey, I'd like to talk to Bill. I have this problem," Dougie would know whether or not I'm an expert in that, and he would say he's a good fit. He did that at this position.
Right.
Um,
Well, and you bring up, like, we're really activating it. Like, we've got AI responders. I have an I have a local memory where I can save ideas and thoughts, and I have a cloud-based memory, which means I can interact with that from any tool that has the capability to connect. I'm developing, because I read a lot every day,
yeah,
and I highlight things. And I have an e-reader that has AI built in, so I can highlight a passage and get more information. Right? Explain this or tell me more about this.
absolutely.
I'm actually developing an EPUB reader that has that AI in there, and it can connect to my digital brain and save thoughts. Like, I can say, save this highlight to that. So
So
again, that's the demonstration of the leverage, right?
yeah, absolutely. This is what I'm going to say before I go. A lot of people think that AI cannot be creative, cannot think, but AI is new and it's in the middle of the machine learning phase. So as we begin to teach it and as it begins to become more robust,
Right. It's designed as a
Dougie,
self-improving system, and it is
Dougie
getting.
will have more emotion when he speaks back to you.
Mhm.
He will not sound flat. He will mirror your tone, unless you're upset, and then he's trained to calm you down.
It's a hostage
And
like a hostage negotiator.
you're very, very funny. But this is what I'm going to say
Because I
for
know,
small.
I say that joking, lovingly, Bill, because I know how charged up you can get when you're passionate about,
Everything.
yeah, well,
Um,
not everything, but the things you're passionate about. You're very passionate about it.
yeah, I'm excited about this. I am all in right now. In fact, Dougie has between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m. Eastern, and it's 101 carved out for him and I to work on our projects. And he just sent me a reminder. But
And you weren't here last week, Bill,
mhm.
but I introduced something I've been working on. So, as you said, you've fed this AI your YouTube videos, your resume, like all this
My daughter's names, you know,
things about you and your words and the way you speak. So I've built something. I call it the AI imprint experience. What it is it's not just understanding you by reading what you say it, how you it's like I work with people to understand what's underneath all of that. Like not just how you say something, but why.
right?
Like like why does Bill have so much passion about this? What's running underneath that? And so the goal is with this AI identity imprint or imprint experience is I've got targeted questions to get some information from the user. We spend 90 minutes pure excavation, going through that, looking at everything that's running underneath. Some of it you may know, some of it may not. But in the end, you will get a full rundown of that with a prompt that you can give your AI tool of choice. Some work better than others, that now understands you at a level that you may not even understand yourself yet.
I so I would love to know about that tool. Um, I've done things from I grew up in Chicago until I was 12, moved to LA. That's where I really consider home. You know, only thing I didn't give him was my grandson's name because he's a child. But he and or my mother's maiden name. I'm not stupid. Uh, but you know, anything that someone were to ask on a call about why choose me, he can answer it, and it's just going to get easier and better for small businesses, especially because right now we're seeing 7,000 people leave big corporations. But what's going to happen, and we need to really, really understand this, is that smaller businesses are going to have to start letting go of staff to compete. And they're going to need people that know how to build remote agents. That's the truth. Um, phone agents.
And that was the whole point of this topic today was the tools are there. The tools are getting more and more powerful every day. What we need is the operators
Yep.
who not only understand how to use the tools, but they're solid in their self concept and therefore that output, whatever they build, whatever output it produces, it's irrelevant to them. Like it's
Yeah.
important, yeah, it grows your business, it grows your income, whatever, it lets you live the life you want to live, but it doesn't affect you at your core because you know who you are. And I want to give Coach Carey some time because we're at the top of the hour already.
Yep, I gotta go because it's my 1 o'clock to four
Yeah.
o'clock time slot. Talk
Well,
to you
hug
later.
him with Huggy.
All right, bye.
Bye. Coach Carey, what's up?
I just wanted to say hi. He said a lot of things that needed to be said, and some of them I agree with, and some of them I have my own opinion about. But relative to AI, I think it's something that we were using even before it had the name artificial intelligence. I know you came to my Saturday Carrie Connects where my guest spoke about how AI, even when we stopped using the yellow pages and then we transitioned into just using Google, as soon as you have a cell phone or any other type of technology, whether it's a television or a gaming system, anything that can transmit out can transmit in. And so these are just tools, but the tools have to be used wisely. I don't agree with naming the tools because then I've seen articles where people start to build relationships with those tools. And so I don't name my hammer, I don't name my remote control. So I'm not going to name AI because for me it's a tool and I want to keep it separate. Unfortunately, people have, done the unthinkable in terms of committing suicide. Dial 988 if you're having any of those types of thoughts, or go to their website. The other thing, though, is that in turn, and that's for the United States. There are other numbers internationally. But the other thing is that you also have to have boundaries. And I think that setting boundaries is extremely important. So, one of the things, I had a person that I had started having conversations with on a regular basis, and I
Hmm.
introduced them to someone in my network, and then they made a public comment that I perceived as rude. And so that person is no longer a part of my personal circle. But it's the same way with these tools that you introduce them to your personal life, whether you're putting in your family's name, you're putting in certain information. And you can also program, for instance, on Chat GPT, you can go into your settings and say if you wanted to talk to you sassy, if you wanted to talk to you kindly. So you can
There's a
program it to
few of them that have
communicate with you in a certain way.
personalities.
But I just think that boundaries have to be healthy, and I think that they have to be important. And people have different things that they allow to take place in their life relative to these tools. And so I think you just have to do what you have to do and maintain boundaries that you are willing to live with. And that's all.
Right. And I think in order to develop those boundaries, you have to take a clear look in the mirror by of yourself, or with a, you know, an appropriate professional or a trusted person who has the knowledge to help you explore the deeper inner stuff. Because, as we said, people thought I was weird because I named my pigs and then I slaughtered them. They're like, what? You don't name feed animals. I understand. I appreciate your boundaries, and I think we do need boundaries in every aspect. And that's exactly what I was getting at, is that the tools are just tools, whether we name them or we don't, whether we give them grandma's name or not. Those are personal choices. Um, there are some people that their AI knows everything. They know their firstborn to their great great grandfather or whatever. And if they're okay with that, if they're solid in their identity, I think the problem is a lot of people are activating the tools. They're using it as a bypass, right? Instead of getting the support from a friend, a family member, or a professional that they need, they're like, well, AI is right there. I can have a conversation. I can share. There's that, just like social media, the internet, right, opened up this wall of anonymity. that people could speak things that they were afraid to speak before because I'm behind the wall. Nobody knows who said it. I can, and today it's even worse. Like my wife was just saying, she's like, I'm really frustrated with Facebook groups where people can, they don't even have to put their name on it. They can just say stuff. And again, that goes back to, I think that's the core that I'm getting at, Carrie, is that it's our identity that we have to update who we are to use the tools responsibly and set the appropriate boundaries for ourselves.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. We definitely have to set boundaries because these tools, unlike some of the other tools, I mean, if you think about old school on the south side of Chicago, where I was born and raised, people would name their cars, right? And a car is a tool to get you from place to place. And some people may or may not have fallen in love with their cars. I don't have any stories about that. But I do know that in terms of setting those boundaries, just I want people to be aware as you're talking about identity disruption, to be mindful of how things impact our dopamine levels. And so you have to set boundaries just like you do with our children on the video game systems, you know, the 30-second TikTok videos and other social media platforms. You just want to make sure that you have healthy boundaries as you continue to define and redefine who you are within the space of AI. Just be aware that it does impact your dopamine levels. And if you're feeling that you are in a position where you may be unsafe, make sure that you reach out to a human being to get that extra support that you need.
Absolutely. And, I liken it to I have focused work sessions where I'm publishing Substack or preparing for Monday MindShift or drafting my podcast, recording it. And then I have dedicated times where it's just me and my family. Like, I put my phone on do not disturb. It's like tech off. But I have two more guests. I have Christine and Omar have joined us.
Well, hi, Chris, and hi, Omar. I always want to take the time to say hi to the other guests and be polite.
All right. So Christine was here first. Hello, Christine. What do you have to share with us today?
Oh, I think I agree. I loved what Coach Carey just added in just now about things to signs to look for. If we get like, I think I tell too much personal information. I was an early adopter of AI, and I may have shared too much information initially, but I don't know how to undo that. What's done is done. But I was going to say, I know we have another guest, but I love this program. I can't always get on because I have work and responsibilities, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I did lose a lot of weight and just became a lot more healthy with my food plan and my exercise plan using Chat GPT, building agents, stuff like that. Just something I'm sure other people do this, but something I thought to do on my own. But it really holds me accountable because I am very honest with it and I'm not embarrassed to say, I went off and I ate a bag of potato chips or something, right? That when I do trip over myself, I'll be honest and it'll get me back on track. Um, the other thing I was going to say is I like what, along with Coach Carey was saying, I am trying to detox a little, and it's hard. It is so hard. I'm trying to get my kids to do it. And it really is this, especially if I'm not doing it with food. I'm also sober. I've been in recovery for a while. So if I don't have food, alcohol, if I'm trying not to spend money, like I'm doing all these things that give me the dopamine hits, I've got to really watch for that. And I'm really susceptible. I'm not immune, even though I get mad at my kids. And then the last thing I was going to say is right now I am studying for a credential in my field, and it's a proctored exam. It's something I've wanted to do after my master's, and ChatGPT is helping me with that too. Just the areas that I don't where I need to focus more, that sort of thing, deeper dive. But I love that it's a proctored exam and it's still held in very high esteem because you can't fake your way through it. You have to put your knowledge to practical application, in real time. And I'm gonna still say,
Very valuable, Christine, because I was just reading that in universities, the grade point averages are skyrocketing, but the level of learning is not. It's actually dropping because, as you just pointed out, the reliance on the tools to do the work. It's like I said before, right? Cognitive replacement or cognitive enhancement,
mm,
right? Easy to get caught in the dopamine, well, we could even say the dose trap, right?
yeah.
Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins, all of which can come from social media or interactions with a chat bot or from hugging your loved ones
There's that, yes.
or sunny day in the park, right?
I
All of these.
just, I just, so my daughter is on her device now. And literally, I had this conversation while this wonderful show was going on. And I said, Elizabeth, why don't we ride our bikes? Because it stopped raining finally. I'm in the Massachusetts area. It was really gloomy Memorial Day weekend. But I'm like, and she's like, well, I'm playing whatever the hell she's playing with Bianca. And I'm like, no, we're gonna ride our bikes today. Like, let's dust them off. It's a beautiful day, and then once we're out there, it's gonna be awesome. But I'm gonna drag her out by her teeth
Right,
so
but
that she does something else.
like wall, isn't it? Like it's like let's go do this, let's go do this, and it's like, "Arr!" But then
Yeah,
you
but
get to the other side, and you're like, do you miss it? No.
yeah, but you know what else? I was actually gonna do some work today, and remember I said you gave me that mantra, like I am not what I produce, and then I'm like, no, no, I'm not gonna do it. It can
Enjoy
wait.
the holiday. Enjoy some time with yourself, with your family, for sure. That's a lesson I had to learn as well, Christine. Is that it's okay to just stop and just take time sitting on the couch doing nothing. And when I say nothing, I don't mean letting go of housework and stuff while I
Yeah,
scroll
yeah, I know what you
social
mean.
media. I mean, like nothing. Just sit there. What a concept.
Yeah, because that's the first place that's another thing I do all weekend. Like people will talk about their weekends on team meetings, like what they have planned. And I'm like, and it is hard. I would say I'm a late bloomer. I got a late start with a lot of things, including starting my family, and I had twins in my 40s, So so I have a lot going on because they're only 14. They can't drive. There's always stuff happening, usually, except for today when she's playing a game. But I'm always like cleaning or working or driving them somewhere. And you like I don't yeah, but I think that's a lot of women out there. A lot of women are in that
Very,
situation. Yeah.
it is a very common, tends to affect, I would say, not just women, but people who are stronger in the feminine energy. Because I'm a firm believer that we all carry feminine and masculine, and we have a dominant one, and the feminine energy is that take care of everything, make sure nobody's starving, nobody feels lonely, nobody like the house is managed. It's very feminine energy, whether you're a woman or not.
Agree. Agree. Thank you for that correction. Yes. But I love Omar, so I want to give him the chance to
Yes.
speak, and I can go on for 10 hours, so I'm going to stop myself here. Hi, Omar.
Hello,
Hi,
Omar.
it's been a while. Hope you're doing well. I think we met
Yes,
almost a
likewise.
couple of years ago on the Great Donald Show. So I'm doing
Yes,
well.
yeah, great to see you.
Yeah, did you know I actually met him in person? Uh,
Oh, no, really?
yeah, I did back in August. I'll message you later. But we did a show together in person. I'll let you know later. Yeah. So yeah, great guy. Um, But yes, so today is Memorial Day. I'm off, and so I decided to log in today. So a little bit of the conversation. And I think you're talking about more of AI and dopamine hits, correct?
Well, the main idea was AI is a topic on everybody's mind, right? Everybody's talking about strategies and prompts and how to make your work more efficient with AI. I was digging at the conversation under it, not what strategies are you implementing in AI or what tools we're using or how you're using them, but who's the one, as we used to say back in my early days, who's the nut behind the wheel,
Okay,
right? The
got you.
intelligence. Who are you that's using the tool? Whether you're fully embracing AI or you're overcompensating, aggressive overcompensation was something I dropped, right?
Yeah,
Where
I mean,
you throw
I do
yourself.
like AI. Yeah, there's a lot of benefits in it. I mean, if, for example, the show that I do, right? I use it to write the questions, right? There's an email you wrote. Maybe you can use AI to recreate it in a better way, more professional. So in that sense, I do like it. But in terms of getting addicted to it and using it all the time, that's probably where the problem is. But in terms of using it for productivity, I think it's good, like writing Jeopardy questions or writing an email or a recipe. Maybe there's a recipe that you're trying to find or
Or
how to
modify.
improve on
I,
something.
I've
Yeah,
I've gotten these recipes, Omar, that are for like a family of six.
yeah.
We're a family of three. I'm like, I need to scale this down.
Exactly. Make it a little bit how to make a pizza for three people, kind of thing, or that kind of,
We got that
whatever.
one managed. We don't need AI for that one, but some other recipes. But
Exactly.
yeah, because this is the Identity Under Pressure series. And like the opening question was, or the opening statement was, you're not afraid of AI replacing you. You're actually afraid of AI revealing that the job you do was the story you told yourself about who you are.
Mm, got you.
It's who do you believe you are? Who do you believe, what do you believe you deserve? And are you operating from that, or are you operating from what I call the conditional self, right? This belief
Hmm.
that if I'm not
Interesting.
producing, if I'm not creating some kind of output, who am I,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, deep question. That's a
Christine
deep
mentioned her
question.
mnemonic, I am not my output,
Hmm.
or my output is not the product, right?
Yeah, deep question. I don't know really how to answer that, but I mean, in terms of like jobs, I'm not too concerned about that. There might be some jobs. I'm in the design and engineering field. So I don't see that field ever changing using AI. It might improve it. Actually, the industry I'm at, they're actually afraid to use AI. We had a meeting with the director and I was invited, and a lot of people were scared of how to use AI incorporated. I'm like, you don't need to be afraid of it, but you can use it to improve your work because I don't really see our industry ever using that. It does need humans to look at the design work, but it could improve a few things, spreadsheets or whatever. But in terms of design, we kind of keep the human mind in there. That's what I
Well,
see.
and I've talked to a lot of software engineers, developers, computer engineers, and we have a lot of discussions about this. And it's a time savings because, like, the first revision can be generated in minutes,
Yep.
and then the trained professional can go and go, oh yeah, that's good, no, that needs to. I think it's a balance, and as Coach Carey was pointing out, right, it's, and this, I would say, this identity is personal, like What is your identity? And it can be organizational, right? What
Yes.
there's so many founders, leaders, etc. They're like, we need to put AI in. Well, for what? Like, if you ask, like, why do you want to put? Well, because it's the buzzword, right? Everybody's putting AI.
Yeah.
Everybody's saving time and adding productivity. But if we're just activating it because it will speed things up, it will do things
Yeah.
you know how to do. Like William was talking about using it to create music for his show.
Yeah.
My
Good
song,
idea.
The Identity Disruptor, yeah, it's AI created. 100%.
Yeah, then otherwise you'll have to get a computer, get a guitar, get a band, spend some money, try to figure out it works, it makes sense. And so it's
Right, and I'd
stuff
still
like
be
that,
working on it. I'd
saving
still be
time.
working
Yeah,
on it.
yeah, exactly. And you're still improving it in a certain way. Exactly, but you're saving time. Yeah. But here's the weird thing. We are saving time, but we still don't have time. That's the weird thing about life, you know. We're using all these tools, but if you notice, we don't have time, right? That's weird, you know. I mean, we have
And
all
I
these
would
tools
say
But
compared
that
to 100 years ago.
I had a comment. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I feel
Go
like
ahead.
sometimes it's a rabbit hole. Like it almost makes me overproductive or
Yeah,
overfunction or overdo things. I don't know because I just keep going and going, and yeah. So that's one of the
well,
fallbacks of it.
and here's a personal challenge, and it's also partly why I have the system that I was telling Bill about. I haven't been diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure I have what's called 2E brain.
Mhm.
It's a more recently recognized form of neurodivergent.
Mhm.
And that natural tendency I have is massive amounts of information coming in. And so I've had to learn, like, to say, oh, nope, 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 put that, don't put that. Because, like you just said, Christine, it's real easy to get, dabbling in 20 different things before you know it. And it's not really improving productivity, it's actually sucking up more time. And I think the other thing is again, it's all identity, right? Like, I consider it a myth. I'm too busy is just, it's not a priority. Because if something is a priority, we will make the time, we will create the time for it. Or
That's
if
true.
it's
But
not,
sometimes things are more important than others, and then you'll do it later. Like, for example, people ask me from LinkedIn to do a project with them, and yeah, I agree. But then maybe I'll do it in June when I'm available. You know, it depends on what the priority is of that. Like, if it's something important, yeah.
as an example, Jax, Jackie Hallberg, has a great show. I never get to watch it live. She said, I want to talk to you on my show. It's in a protected time slot.
Yeah,
So, as much as I would love to be on her show, it's in my protected time slot that it's not happening because, as you said, something more important for me is in that time slot and it's protected. So, I don't even have to think about it. It's like, hey, Shawn, can you meet me at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time? Nope, can't. And that's
exactly. And in that sense, you need
like,
to
you have to
prioritize. Then you have to be okay with it.
set your priorities. Yeah,
Yeah,
you have to set your priorities.
yeah,
Learn
and be
to
okay with it too. Sorry.
learn to say no and be okay with it. Like, sorry, I can't do that right now, or I can't do it at all. I don't want to ignore Annie's question from global.media, how people are becoming very dependent on these tools. Sometimes, as Christine said, maybe a little too dependent. Just like how many people actually know their phone number, right? You meet somebody at an event or at the supermarket, you're like, let me get your number. And they're like, hang on. And I remember as a kid, like, that was the first thing we learned at school. Like, what's your phone number? What's your address?
Mhm. I actually put in that. I think I know five phone numbers, and then my grandfather, God bless his soul, he knew almost everybody's phone number. The kids, he had five kids, grandkids, so he memorized the phone numbers without even they were written. But back then was different. It's a different time.
I have a phone number in my head that was my
Yeah,
phone number like
yeah,
20 years ago, but that
yes,
number is still it's like I can't I can't forget it if I wanted. But
I know.
in this age when people are becoming more and more dependent on the tools, I actually saw this too. There was a company, they had put all their processes on Claude. The whole team, every level was running through Claude. Anthropic, the parent company, blocked their account, shut them off. Policy violation. It's just like the LinkedIn thing, right? How many LinkedIn or Facebook people stories do we hear? Somebody went to log in, their whole following, their whole business was there, and they're off the system.
Mm,
Then what? And we saw it. I remember in the early age of computers, I go to the bank or the store, like, oh, computers are down. Sorry, we can't help you. And we used to get so frustrated back then. We're like, what do you mean? Like, don't you have any paper documents? And now today we really don't. We have become very dependent on technology, whether it's computer databases. Like in your design work, do you hand draw or do you use a like CAD or something like that?
I use CAD. Yeah, no hand drawing anymore. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
all
you use.
computer. Yeah,
And I remember in school taking drafting classes with a
yeah,
T square and the angled table and
yeah,
the special pencils. Now you do it
yeah.
on a computer, right? It's all computerized.
Mm-hmm.
But in this age, it's also the age where everybody's like, you got AI tools, you should be able to do that in 20 minutes. It's kind of like, what was it? There was an old show. At the end of the show, they were like, I can name that song in 5 notes. She's like, I can name that
Oh
in
yes,
5 notes.
that's I know
And
that
it was
show.
this
Yep,
competition, like
name
who
that
can
tune.
do it more efficiently. And that's the world we're in, right? Like, well, Omar says he can create that in 3 days, and Sean says I can create it in one. Christine says I
Yeah.
can do it in 10 minutes.
Oh, that also reminds me. There's one other show where name the word or I don't know how many words
That
can you
too.
name it?
It was called Team That Tune.
25 words or less. There's a show like that too. That's also an awesome show. I can guess the word in five. Yeah, yeah, I know. So,
So how do we balance that? How do we
mm,
balance this dependence, this world where I call it the microwave mindset, right? Like we want it now, and it's only more of a I remember when my parents got a microwave, our whole world changed. Like
yeah,
what we can heat dinner up in 1 minute? Like
yeah,
what? What? That's magical. Like what the heck?
yeah,
And now, if you have to wait more than a few minutes at a restaurant, it's like, oh, their service is terrible.
yeah.
It just keeps getting faster. So how do we balance that? What would you say? This dependence, this demand for speed.
Mm. Yeah, it's something that we got used to, I guess, because of the time have changed, and it's just unfortunate in that sense. We need to try to go back. Mentally, we got used to the fast-paced life, and
Mm.
it's hard to go back to that. Like we want to check our phones, and we got to do all the stuff before we do our important stuff. The stuff can wait, but unfortunately, the stuff on social media cannot wait anymore. We got to use that stuff to view it and look at it. Then we do our arbitrary stuff, and
Right.
by that time,
We
you're
have,
already
we
like,
have to ask,
crazy.
like, can it can it wait or not?
It can, yeah. Usually, most of
It
the
can.
time, it can.
It's
Yeah, definitely.
and
I just sorry to interject again.
Yeah.
I went to a I don't know conference where they had all the latest technology in supply chain and automation is impacting things too, because they had self-loading and unloading self-driving trucks, all these crazy things. Um, but yeah, people, it was discussed, like people cannot wait in a line anymore because they don't know what to do. Children especially, they don't know what to do with idle time. Um, and then there was somebody there with a 3D printer that said they're going to get rid of supply chain altogether because people can print their sneakers from home with this thing or whatever. We don't even know what's ahead of us. And I think things are just going to get more and more. I mean, ever since in my field, like it used to be, 2 days was like a fast transit. And now, it's people want things within minutes. And it's just the whole world. It's just going to be like that. I don't know how to go back.
Well, and I would say, Christine, like, you're right. I don't know how we go back, right? Or do we need to? Do we even need to go back? Is it necessary? But I think that that cements the point of the topic today is we're not going back. It's only going to get faster. It's going to get more automated. The old ways of doing things are going to, I would say, it used to be things faded away. When I lived in Belize, I was living in a Mayan village, and one of the elders in the village, they built structures, what we would call palapas, right? They're wooden structures with the palm leaf roof, because when you build one of those, you go under it, the temperature drops by like 10 degrees.
Mm.
And in Belize, that's critical because it's 90 degrees with 75 to 80% humidity. You go underneath this cover and it's now 75 at 75 humidity. It's much more comfortable. He would go into the jungle, they would harvest everything from the jungle, right? The lumber to build the frame, the leaves to build the roof, even the vines that tied the frame together. He took me in the jungle and showed me. He was like, "Oh, that's not the right vine. It looks right, but it's not. Here's how you know." He showed me, and I asked him. I said, "Did you teach your sons this?" He says, "No." So this, and he told me he was the only one in the region that knew how to get this vine, and I was just shocked. I'm like, so it's fading away. It's being lost. But I think we're in an age where things are just going to, they're going to be disappeared instantly.
Things might get faster too, in terms of that. I'll tell you an experience from my work. They're changing now to digital when they submit a project. Now they're doing it, and everybody's afraid. These are people who are probably in their 60s, and there are younger people too who are in their
Right. You
40s right
mean
now.
they're sending a digital document instead of the old
Yes,
printed
yes, exactly. And so
blueprint?
they're having a meeting this week on it, and everybody's kind of like scared about it, and they don't know what to do. So that's going to be how they're delivering projects now in 2026. So it could have been before, but the government is kind of slow of it. So yeah.
Well, the government, I mean, when I joined the military, we had a phone system that was like 5 generations behind
Yeah.
the phone system that the phone companies were using publicly, but the
The
military
the
system,
real dial-up, the real dial-up phones, right?
well, it was a big array of switches that would go zzz, 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 psh,
Oh, okay.
the old
It's the
phone
one
up,
with that little thing that you pull up and hello, hello, those ones from the 50s. That's phone.
something like that.
That's
This
an
was
actual
the
phone.
modern
Yeah.
equivalent of that.
That was amazing sound, yeah.
And vacuum tubes in a world of solid state transistors, and now we were getting computers. The Navy was still using vacuum tubes. So yes, I understand the
Oh,
government. And living abroad, living in the third world has taught me, like we were talking about, that it's okay to pull back and just rest.
yes,
The work
absolutely.
can wait. The reply to the message can wait. nobody's in danger. It can wait. It's really taught me, like, changed my identity that, like, okay, this is important. I need to take care of it right away. That is not important. I can do it tomorrow.
Perfect. I gotta hop off. I have another
I
meeting
gotta
coming up
wrap
here.
this up.
But
We're
thank you
almost
so
an
much.
hour over.
Nice to see
Thank you.
you, Shawn. Nice to see Coach Carey, and nice to see you, Chris, as well. And enjoy your Monday. Take care of you guys. Bye.
Yes, take
Thank
care,
you. Take
Omar.
care. Bye bye.
Yes, I should wrap it up. Let me just say hi, Annie. If you didn't catch that, Kenneth is here. Frank, Narcisse, Christine, thank you for joining us. Coach Carey, thank you for joining the stage and sharing your thoughts, your ideas. You're appreciated. I think that's the side of humanity we got to really hold on to, is that conversations like this and acknowledging people for their contribution, whether we agree with it or not.
Absolutely. I agree. And it was nice to meet you, Chris. I loved your comments. And Shawn, thank you for having such an amazing platform where we get to network and share our ideas with your community. Thanks for having me.
Thanks a lot. Have a good one.
Thanks all. Adios.
Adios. We'll see you next week. Everybody, take care.